What's happening, people? Let's talk about it. Too much focus on the devil. Maybe there's too much focus on the devil. Let's talk about it. So I'm a social worker. I'm a part of the Christian community. I've been in various churches pretty much all my life. My mum and dad, they used to just cart me off to grandma, to different grandparents, and they said that they had a free weekend. That's how I got into the church. I want to talk about this focus on the devil and psychosis. Now, I'm not a medical expert when it comes to psychology, psychiatry, but I'm giving my opinion nonetheless. And I will say this, I had a really interesting conversation with my mate Kim, Dr. Kim now, who is giving me a lot of insight into this psychosis. And there was a lot of focus on the black community. So this is a challenge for conversations in the black community to talk about how they do church. And I'm only offering a critical analysis. I'm not condemning anyone, but I'm going to point to some research that's been done. And I think that I welcome any religious members of any communities, be it Islam, be it any spiritualist community and any Christian community, to have a conversation with me about this. This is an interesting topic, because what we have to be aware of is the black community suffers with certain types of mental illnesses. Probably down, we know that it's contributed to also who's interpreting these medical diagnoses, but also the fact that we have them so much in our community. But more interestingly, what they are based on. So, looking specifically at psychosis, we know that psychosis can be induced by drugs and so forth, but also there's an element of this which is what they are. In fact, what I wanted to focus on was what the psychosis is based on. So the research that I've done indicates that psychosis can be culturally appropriated, not the condition, but what is involved, what the hallucinations are about. I want you to think about this, because I have friends that believe, that when it comes to mental health, they believe it's spiritual, they believe it's demons. And then I have friends who also are Christian and will say that mental health is mental health. And so there is a divide in the opinions, right? But I'm going to break some stuff down to you. Got it written on my phone here, because I am not that good. Psychosis is a medical condition characterized by symptoms such as delusions, spiders tore up foot, such as delusions, hallucinations, and disorganized thinking. The disorder does not change based on cultural beliefs. It's deep. And so what we've got is something called religious psychosis, right? Religious individuals are more likely to experience religious-themed delusions. So, interestingly, when I poorly articulated before, the type of the psychosis that you have can be culturally appropriated. Okay, so people who are in the Christian community or in a religious community tend to have delusions, hallucinations, say, based on spiritual things like a special mission from God, supernatural forces influencing their actions. Kim said, they're running from something, they're fighting the devil. And so the Christian community is going to be thinking, well, you know what? The devil's at play here. What the heck do we do? We've got to pray this out. And then it gets more interesting, and I'm only scratching the surface on this, right? It gets more interesting because people who are not religious, are not of faith, tend to have different hallucinations. So non-religious people may have delusions or hallucinations with more secular or scientific or social themes, such as paranoia about technology, government, surveillance, rather than supernaturalism. So my question is this: if this is for the religious community, and I'm taking a shot at the religious community, only for in the interest of having a discussion about it, if this is something spiritual, why do we have specific issues appropriated to specific cultures? in hallucinations. If you as a Christian do believe, and I want you to understand, I'm a Christian. Christianity is what my life centers around. I think so. I'm not putting down my faith. I'm rather challenging the leaders and the members who believe this so strongly to say, if a delusion or if this is a spiritual warfare, a spiritual attack, then why don't we have the same type of delusions or hallucinations in people who don't know God? Research shows that people's hallucinations are dependent on where they come from, which is interesting, right? So I want you to have that discussion, and you're welcome to have that discussion with me because I want to understand more, and I think we should say more about it. And I'm purporting that the black community is harming itself because we have such high levels of mental health issues in our community, and specific types of delusions, hallucinations, psychosis from white people, that we might be harming ourselves because we don't understand the difference between spiritual and physical issues. And is there a difference? I just think it's worth a conversation. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Well, this is my first blog on my new piece of kit. But yeah, I'm just wondering, how do we know when we see certain behaviors? Are we like, yeah, that's the devil? How do we know? Do you know what I mean? Tell me what you think.